So I think a lot of people wait for their business to become real before they start treating it like a business. And that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why we need to talk about LLCs. Most people, they just think that it's something you do after you're successful. Not the case. And here's another thing. Most people think that it's just for legal protection. Yes, no, but not the case. So we got to talk about it today. I'm taking my lunch break, but I'm still working. As you can see, I've lifted my uh, desk so that I can hammer through some emails and things. But we got to talk about these LLCs because it's a revolving door on this conversation. So many people that I know who have side hustles, side gigs, or even successful ventures, they just don't have an LLC. And I just think we should think differently about them if you're not already thinking the way I think about them, right? So let's talk about this. The biggest benefit is not just the legal protection. You know what I mean? Um, I didn't start the LLC because I was making money when I started my LLC. I mainly started it because, if it's not going to be a hobby, you got to treat it like a business. And so that's really important for people to understand that there's usually this disconnect like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'll put myself out there, I'll get some business, then I'll start the business. And man, I can't tell you how many times that has tripped up some people that I know. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Let me put myself away on Slack. You know what I'm saying? So we can talk. But here's the thing. Like most people will say, hey, I'm gonna get some customers, I'm gonna make some money, then I'm gonna file my LLC when I know that it's really, really working. And I've done that before too. So don't let me not act like I haven't done that um earlier in my attempts to try to be somebody who had a side hustle or try small businesses on the side. But I will say this before you get the LLC, everything feels temporary, right? It's so part of having the LLC, I think that most people miss is it's a mindset shift. You know what I mean? Because prior to the LLC, everything's blended, like your business and your personal life, and it seems all right and it seems okay, but it's hard to keep track of stuff in an account that's got your Netflix subscription along with your legitimate business um, purchases, right? So for me, I think the main thing of when you start treating your business like a business and not just paperwork because you made it successful is you kind of decide that this thing deserves its own identity. And once you decide that, you start going down the line and it's a trickle effect. If it deserves its own identity, it deserves its own bank account, right? Which means it deserves its own future. So it's hard to say, yo, look at my money. I'm doing good. But that has your money from your 9 to 5, any savings you have, any of these other things going on. But it doesn't necessarily show the success of your company, right? When you put your company in its own identity, sometimes seeing that bank balance so low will make you say, yo, I really need to get some sales. I can't just keep winging this thing. I really need some structure. I really need to figure out what's happening. So, most importantly for me, I think that the LLC is a mindset shift, um, and it helps you start marching and being directionally correct. Let me be clear: it won't get you customers, though. It won't fix a bad business idea, but it provides structure. Structure is boring, and what do we do here? We do boring success. So, the structure is super important, and I think that that's something that people miss, right? And it's not just because you have it and now you can start operating correctly, right? You're always going to operate correctly because you want to put your best foot forward. But beyond that, think about it. When people say go file an LLC, this is really saying take your future seriously before you have proof. And let me tell you how that leads into a really important aspect of your business or situations that people don't necessarily think about, right? So, right off the top, when people ask you for your business account or when you're trying to get funding, a loan, all of these type of things, without dipping into your personal identity and your personal credit and putting your personal life at risk. The business needs its own identity so you can borrow for the business. And I think that's one thing people miss. And another thing is a lot of people don't necessarily just decide to work with contractors. They want to see your business registration. They want to see your business license or your certificate of insurance for the business. There's so many different things that you probably aren't considering that you need, but you don't have the structure to even get those. And that's because you don't have the LLC. And the LLC is literally step one. A lot of people talk about all these government contracts and some of these business ideas where you can get funding and borrow other people's money. You have to have the right structure in place for them to even funnel the money or allow you to participate on an RFP. You have to have the right structure, and they're going to see that. They're going to want to see that paperwork. So keep that in mind. And that leads to me going to my next point, because if you take yourself seriously, people treat you differently. So now I'm not just entertaining you as a contractor on a part-time temp worker basis. Now I can contract you out legitimately to do work based on the allocated funds we have for projects or based on your proposal. But it can't just be the city of Atlanta or the city of Compton or the city of Long Island is paying Brian $1,000 for whatever, or $20,000 for whatever, or $100,000 for whatever. It needs to go to a business. And what does this business do? And what services are they providing for us? The vendor registrations, all that stuff is super important. So they can't even treat you differently, which is technically treating you the way you want to be treated, until you have the LLC. And that's where, when you think about it, language matters. Like, you're putting language on your ventures and your efforts that say that I am open for business and I sell these products, I provide this service. So, go do it because you need it more than you think. I think that's what people forget. And it's not because you're smarter or you're organized more than the other person. You actually need it. These are kind of blockers to certain opportunities. Not saying that we're all going after the same opportunities, but anyone who's looking to do these 9 to 5, and anyone who has a 9 to 5 and is looking to do these ventures on the side, you got to kind of think about structure. Structure is very important. Think about your job. Think about how many hoops you have to jump through, the amount of red tape you go through for something that you think is so simple. Mind you, these companies are so successful that they have employed you. So don't miss that in the midst of being someone who wants to work for themselves. All of these things that happen at work probably are going to happen in your small business, in your side hustle, in your ventures. So don't dismiss them, take them seriously, look at them, and then also apply them into your real life. And yeah, so like I said, if you take yourself seriously, people treat you differently. So, you treat yourself, take yourself serious, get the LLC, people treat you differently. Now I can contract you, or now I can give you a bank account because this is a real thing. Then also it makes growth easier. Like I said, you could get a loan or with the bank account, or people can invest in your company. Not saying that that's where you're trying to go, but if you need a grant from the what is it? If you need a grant from the city or the state, you just never know. There were plenty of people who unfortunately took advantage of the PPP loans during the pandemic, but there were a lot of people who were legitimately doing business and providing services, but they did not have an LLC to show any proof that they've been doing it. They've pretty much just been taking money and putting it into their personal account. No way to really track that. It's another reason why you need an LLC. There may be a opportunity where the city or the government or any other person or company may want to partner on a project, but they need you to have the right paperwork in place. So it makes growth easier. That's it. That's all I got. You need an LLC more than you think, and it's not just because of legal protection. So remember, structure, credibility, and then optionality. That's probably like the best way to put it. It just came in my head like that. Structure. Take yourself seriously. You got the structure. Then credibility. Now when people ask you, do you have a business? See, told y'all I'm working. Now when people ask you, do you have a business and where you can be registered or if they could use your services, now you have the credibility and then optionality. You don't have to grow or take investments or loans, but you have those options. All right. Peace.